Hello and welcome to taking your first pass on your local flavor painting. My name is Eric and today we're going to be talking about taking a prepared palette that we worked on last video and prepping our canvas on the first application over our underpainting. We have also prepped our painting with an underpainting and a sketch, so I know where I'm going. And I have a pretty dynamic palette here of colors and I'm prepared to start painting on top. So to start out here, a couple things to think about. The rules will still apply, big to small, back to front, thin to thick. You'll notice that my source material here, there's a lot of intricate details on this, very clean lines, dramatic value shifts. I'm not going to worry about that. White is one of the most opaque values, and black covers up pretty well too. So we're not going to try and put any of the dramatic details on yet. We're just going to be trying to put that first coat of more accurate color placed to our sketch. So hopefully we can see sort of the palette here. Once again, I've mixed a variety of colors here. Part of me wants to jump directly into the house, the subject matter, because it's exciting. But I think I'm going to jump into the sky first. Once again, back to front. It's totally fine if part of my sky bleeds into my house. That's easy to touch up. Just double checking my sketch here. I'm making sure I know where I'm at. I'm making sure I know the borders. And then I'm going to load my brush on both sides and start coming in. Now this is a more neutralized blue. Let me move this up so there's no cast shadow. But I also have a couple different blues. I also still have some pure white. So I'm just coming in, and as I lay it down, I'm not worried about it going over my sketch. I'm not going to bring it right to the sketch and then stop. I'm going to bring it right over the sketch because I know where my lines are. They're clean enough. Then I'm going to be able to touch this up later. Again, little bits of white can be beneficial. Kind of keep a broad brush stroke. Got some really dramatic blue here, so I just grabbed some pure ultramarine. It's obviously too dramatic, so I'm going to mix it directly on the canvas into that more mixed color. Broad brush stroke. Once again, I can take some more pure ultramarine if you want, or some added with white, or some muted with some orange. There's a lot of different ways of approaching. And I'm coming on through. White's a good primer. You can also grab a little bit of water. Don't get too carried away with the water. Sometimes people will, and it gets sort of like a drippy mess. Once again, I'm not really worrying about details now. They've been placed. I'll sort of try and go around them, but I'm not going to let it slow me down. I'm going to keep most of my strokes in the background horizontal. Even if I'm working around things, I can do little things, and then I can just pull horizontal right after. We built down this way. Let's see, this will be side of the house. That's going to be that room. And we finish this side up here. Guys, once again, I'm moving fairly quickly here. I like to do more thin layers than labor on one thing for too long and get frustrated with it. Notice how this is way out of its boundary. Doesn't matter. I'm going to bring a little bit of this in, and that has a fair amount of white in it. Again, white is super opaque. I'm going to bring it past the ground line too. Once again, it does not matter. Your paint has really good ways of covering up. Okay, so pretty quickly we got that, that sky placed in. Clean my brush off just a little bit here. I'm going to do a ground plane next. On my ground plane, I do have some beds, some flower beds, with a lot of individual plants and things. Maybe you have small details within buildings. Maybe it's in the ground plane. Maybe it's on a street scene. Whatever subject matter you're using. I'm not going to worry about any of these plants yet. Those are going to place directly on top of what I paint first, which is going to be that darker value of the dark brown. I have some of that raw umber still. I might bring a little bit of green into it, but I'm just going to start with that raw umber. I'm going to start building it out from the base of the house. Notice I didn't even place this the first time on the underpainting. It was too minuscule of a detail for me. But now I'm thinking I'm going to at least plan it out a little bit. And once again, you'll notice just a pure brown sometimes is not very opaque. Doesn't really matter at this point. Actually, might be a little bit large, but that's okay too. Just going to sort of plan these flower beds in the front, and we'll deal with them later. Just want to place it for now. Then going straight into that green. Not really going to even clean my brush. I think I'm going to cut this one back a little bit. Got a little bit large. Just going to go directly on top of that. If you're working quickly, you can work into areas that are still wet and work them back very easily. Got a little bit of a lighter green here now. When the time comes, I will come in with a smaller brush and get some more detail oriented things. But at this point, it would just be a waste of time if I was doing any sort of detail. Redefine that ground plane there, keep moving. Notice how it just covered up that blue very easily. I can work the brown back pretty easily. And we got a second coat of green. Once again, there's plenty of details there that I haven't tried to deal with yet. Not time for it yet. Okay, moving right into the house. The sort of fun part. So I remixed this color a little bit. We'll see if it's vibrant enough. So I just went with a straight red. That was obviously way too much. So I'm not sure I've neutralized this well enough. Might be closer. But that's okay. Notice that I'm going to go straight into some of these planting marks. I'm still trying to keep them. I can still see where they're at, and I will paint those in. I'm still going to use that sketch. And I'm going to try and start to clean up some of my borders, but I'm not going to freak out about it too much. This is still a fairly early stage of the painting. One quick brush stroke can build up a pretty good line without laboring too much in one area. So there's my window. Lots of windows on this guy. And the good thing about having that red behind it, sort of that pale pink that was not the right color, but is close, is that color can overlap on other color and create nice undershades and overvalues. So it's a good thing overall, and it builds a continuity within the shape. Moving right along, this next side is a little bit lighter. On this side, I have a nice value transition there. So I'm going to place this in. This is already, I can tell, too light, but I'm not stressing. Once again, I'd rather do many thin layers, and I'm just going to block that one out. I'll find that later. Not too worried about it. Many thin layers than one really stressed on thick layer that gets kind of out of hand. There's a door there too. Maybe I'll leave it. Guys, minor details as well. You can make the decision. It's your painting. You don't have to put every window or every door or every little detail that you see. It's your discretion. So I'm a little bit short here. Should have brought this in further, so I'll pull this in. This is the banister on the top of that. I'm not going to even try that yet. So we're just going to pull this guy a little bit lower. That's all the inside of that. Quick clean of the brush. And we'll just clean that up right there real quick. There we go. Okay, good. Okay, a couple more things to block in. The roof, basically a black. So I'm going to go in with my mixed tone. And guys, I want you to overpaint. Notice how on this roof here, this is not a perfect transition. That's okay. I can come back and clean it up. Very, very easy to clean things up. There are some fairly specific sort of port windows here, so I'm going to try and be a little bit careful. But still, in the grand scheme of things, you can be pretty loose. That's okay. Pull this up there. Because within the painting process, you can still refine things as you're moving. So actually, I'm going to pull this all the way down, because I don't want to get confused. Once again, long brush strokes. If my roof is too big, I can pull it back with the blue. If it's too small, I can continue to build it out. And I'm using about a 1.5 inch brush, a flat brush here. When in doubt, you should use a brush that you think is a little bit large. Always paint a little bit larger if you're debating between two. Once again, because painting can be a very rewarding process if you let the medium do what it's good at, rather than sort of stressing on very specific things or perfections at this stage. I'm actually going to pull that out. As long as I know where the front of those things are, I'll be good. Okay, a couple more values to show you on this. We got the room here, the extension thing. And you'll notice colors with more white. I think this extension is very white heavy. Are going to go on very thick. So, especially if you have intricate details of white within your space, don't worry, you can put those on absolutely last. I know they're the most dramatic thing, easiest thing to see. It's very easy to get in there and just do that. But then you're going to be working around it, or you're going to be having to redo it. It's not worth it. Huge headache. So, big to small, back to front. Okay. So basically my stuff is coming in. I might take one line here to accentuate that transition as well. Just a little bit of piece of molding there. And then it kind of looks like this dips out a little bit more on my source. Something like that. A little bit of white in there, that's okay. We're just blocking it in. Okay, so kind of lackluster. Notice that there are some sections that are still unpainted. At this point, if I wanted, I could come in there and continue to work on those. Usually, at this point, I will come and do a second pass. Once again, it's all about thin layers of opacity. There will be a fairly dark or dramatic transition of value once we get going on this. But I'm going to continue to build layers of value on top of each other. And in the next video, you're going to see me move through this painting, layer by layer, working on those, or working by those core concepts. Working big to small, back to front, thin to thick. And even now I'm working big to small within the form. The windows are less important. I'm trying to really fill the space in between those. As long as I sort of know where they are, that's good. You don't want to just paint all the way over them because then your sketch was useless. Some people can do that. They don't need the sketch. I like the sketch. But I'm already starting to get a few more dramatic values as far as value shifts and transitions within the bricks. On the second layer of actual real color, so technically third layer if you include the underpainting, but underpainting is so rudimentary. And now I'm building up form. And I'm staying in the same direction, depending on what I'm painting, especially in something within perspective, trying to follow linear perspective, pull it back towards that point with my brush strokes, follow the structure, soften that highlight a little bit, and keep on moving.